An equation is simply a relationship between an unknown quantity and a known quantity. If someone says pick a number, suppose the number is x, and you're asked to multiply 2 with the number, and then you're asked to add 4 to the number, and if you say you got 10, then we can simply solve this equation and we will get 10 minus 4, which is 6. Therefore, if we divide this would be 6 divided by 2, so the number was 3. This is called the root of the equation. The root of the equation is that value that makes the equation true. Every value of x or any value of x will never make this true. We can check it. If you plug in x equals to 3 in this equation, you will see that left hand side and right hand side would match. 2 3s is 6, 6 plus 4 10, 10 equals to 10. So when you solve an equation, the root of that equation is that value which makes the equation true. Similarly, when we have an equation like this, sin x equals to 0, that means you have to find the value. You cannot say any value of x would do, because it won't. There are certain values for which this equation will become true, and if you take a look at the common angles, you'll remember that sine 0 happens at 0 degree, it happens at 180 degree, it also happens at 360 degree, and you should have this memorized. These are the common angles. So in that case, you can simply write x equals to 0 degree, 180 degree, or 360 degree. If the question was cos x equals to 0, solve that. Cos x is 0 in 90 degree and 270 degree. It is important to remember these two equations, and for that reason we can just do this. We don't have to worry about solving it. You have to memorize it and you can write down the answer like this. But most questions will not be sin x equals to 0 or cos x equals to 0 or sin x equals to 1 or cos x equals to 1. It would be sin theta equals to some other number, let me call it a, or cos theta equals to some number, let me call it b, or it can also be tan theta some number. So in the C2 exam, when you solve a trigonometric equation, the question would be in one of these basic form. There are specific steps for solving these. So let me go through the steps one by one. Suppose you have to solve this equation, sin x equals to half. The first thing that you have to understand that it's an arbitrary angle. It's not a realistic right angle triangle angle, it's an arbitrary angle. So step 1, find the quadrant. We know in the first quadrant everything is positive, so sin x is positive here, so it will lie in the first quadrant. We also know that there is another quadrant where only sine is positive, so it's the second quadrant. Remember, CAST, CAST, remember that. So it would fall into two quadrants. This is step number 1. Step number 2 is to find the angle. We call it the basic angle or the reference angle, and the basic angle is always the absolute value. That means if you have sine theta equals to a, the basic angle would be sine inverse of a. If it was sine theta equals to minus a, even then the basic angle would be sine inverse of a. Regardless of whether the value is positive or whether the value is negative, sine inverse would always be the absolute value, meaning you ignore the sine and get the sine inverse. So the basic angle would be sine inverse of half. Sine inverse of half, it is 30 degree. So we have the basic angle. Once you get the basic angle, you put the basic angle on the horizontal line. This is the quadrant. This is the basic angle is always with the horizontal line. The basic angle with the horizontal line, the basic angle. So this is what you do. The basic angle would be with the horizontal line. So we have to draw the quadrant here. I didn't draw the quadrant here. Every time you do the sum, there has to be a quadrant here. So the basic angle would be 30 degree and 30 degree. Next, step 3 would be finding the angle themselves. If the basic angle is in the first quadrant, then the angle that you want to find itself is the basic angle. So this angle corresponds to the basic angle. So your angle theta equals to the basic angle. And if it's in the second quadrant, then your angle theta is 180 degree minus basic angle. So 180 degree minus basic angle. So both the sums that we have, both the basic angle is first quadrant and second quadrant. So x equals to, so this is the first quadrant basic angle, and x equals to, this is the second quadrant, that would be 180 minus basic angle, which is 30, so that would be 150. So for 0 to 360 degree, there would be two roots that makes this equation true. One of it is 30 degree and the other is 150 degree. Now let's do another sum where we have sine x. Now this one, let's have cos x. Cos x equals to 1 by square root 2. We need cos positive. So first you take the quadrant CAST. So all positive, this would be in the first quadrant, and cos positive would be in the fourth quadrant. So now we find the basic angle. Step 2. So cos inverse of 1 by square root 2 is going to be 45 degree. So the basic angle would be with the horizontal line 45 degree and 45 degree. So the first thing is going to be the first quadrant. So this is same as the basic angle, so this would be 45 degree. So it's in the first quadrant, the basic angle and the angle is the same. And if you have in the fourth quadrant, in that case the rule is, let me write it down here, if you have an angle in the fourth quadrant, so the basic angle will be with the horizontal line. In the third quadrant, the basic angle would be again with the horizontal line. So what about the other two quadrants? If you have an angle in the third quadrant, then the angle would be 180 degree plus basic angle. If you have an angle in the fourth quadrant, the angle would be 360 degree minus basic angle. So these are the rules for finding the angle. Remember that in the fourth quadrant, 360 degree minus basic angle. That means this angle would be 360 degree minus 45. That would be 315 degree. And that's the answer. So the answer would be x equals to 45 degree, x equals to 315 degree. In the question, they would always give the range of the root. The range of the root would be given like this. X is between 0 to 360 degree. There can be equal to here, or if it's in radian, it would be 0 to 2 pi. Whenever this is given, and this will always be given, you have to understand, you have to select your answer. If the answer is outside this range, then you cannot write down the answer. So you can say that there is another step. The fourth step is choosing from the range. So whenever they give you the range 0 to 360 degree, the final stage would be choosing the range. Remember, step number 1, from the quadrant, select the arbitrary angle CAST where it falls. Step 2 is find the basic angle, and remember, in the basic angle you have to remember we take inverse of the absolute value. If it's negative, we take without any sign. If it's positive, we take without any sign. After that, we have to find the angle, and that angle depends on what quadrant it falls. The basic angle and if it falls in the first quadrant, the basic angle is one of the angles. If it falls in the second quadrant, it would be 180 minus basic angle. If it falls in the third quadrant, it would be 180 plus basic angle, and on and on. After the sum has been done, then you choose the answer.